For centuries, Japan refused to eat salmon. They thought it was too dangerous. It took a desperate group of Norwegians in the 1980s to prove them wrong. Today, salmon is everywhere in Japanese cuisine. And teriyaki salmon is on the menus in over 100 countries. The real story involves Hawaiian sugar plantations, a one-man restaurant in Seattle, and a trade deal that took 9 years to close. This is not the story you think it is. Off the northern coast of Japan, where snow hits the sea and winters don't forgive, fishermen glaze their catch to make it last. Soy sauce, mirin, fire. That method got a name, teriyaki. Teri means shine, yaki means fire. But most people have this completely backwards. Teriyaki isn't a sauce you buy in a store. It's a way you cook, a way of glazing and grilling until the surface catches the light. Born from necessity in the cold waters of Hokkaido, not a bottle on a supermarket shelf. So who put it in the bottle and who added the salmon? When Japanese immigrants arrived in Hawaii in the late 1800s, they brought the glaze with them. But Hawaii had ingredients Japan didn't. Pineapple juice entered the marinade. Brown sugar replaced the mirin. Something new was born, sweeter, stickier, and completely addictive. The teriyaki the world knows today didn't come from a Tokyo kitchen. It came from a sugar plantation. In 1976, a young Japanese man named Toshihiro Kasahara opened a tiny restaurant in Seattle. Chicken and beef, glazed and grilled, served over rice. Boeing factory workers lined up around the block. Then Kasahara did something unexpected. He sold it. Opened another one, sold that too. Korean immigrants arrived in Seattle by the thousands in the 1980s, looking for businesses with low startup costs. They bought Kasahara's locations, opened their own, and quietly, without any announcement, the sauce changed. Where the original used 4 ingredients, the new recipes used 30. Sesame oil, garlic, ginger. One Korean owner said it plainly: "We made it more interesting for people." By the late 1990s, teriyaki shops in Seattle outnumbered McDonald's. But there was still one massive piece of the puzzle missing: the fish. In 1986, Norway had a serious problem. Atlantic salmon was piling up with nowhere to go. A trade diplomat named Björn Erik Olsen spent 9 years trying to convince Japan, a country that had always considered salmon too dangerous, to eat it. They finally agreed in 1995. Within a decade, salmon became Japan's most imported fish. The teriyaki technique, ancient, coastal, built for fish, had finally found its match. That's not a recipe, that's a migration. Follow the history, not just a recipe. More dishes are waiting.